Welcome to the deep dive. We're not just scratching the surface today, we're really going deep. We want to understand how you, as a leader, or maybe just someone curious about the world, can look beyond the day-to-day noise. How do you actually anticipate what's coming next in the business world? So our mission is to cut through all that clutter, find those essential insights. We're talking big forces here: geopolitics, consumer shifts, climate, regulation, technology. It's all interconnected.
And understanding that connection is, well, it's not optional anymore, is it? It's
Yeah.
fundamental for survival, for growth. Businesses today, in this global, super fast economy, they need to be perceptive, proactive, just really well informed. You can't just react.
Reacting. It makes me think of that Warren Buffett quote, the one, "In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield."
Yeah, that's a great one.
It really is a challenge, right? To actually try and look forward, which
Yeah.
is, let's face it, the hard part. So, okay, let's unpack this. When we talk about looking through that windshield, what is this business landscape we're actually trying to see? What are we talking about?
Right. So think of the business landscape as the entire ecosystem. Everything around an organization. It's not just your market. It's the market trends, economic indicators, political stuff, societal expectations, technology shifts,
Yeah.
all of it. It's really the combination of all these forces that create both risks and, importantly, opportunities. One of our sources had a great analogy, like a topographic map shows mountains and valleys.
Uh-huh.
A good landscape analysis shows you where the opportunities might be, where disruption could come from, maybe where you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
It helps leaders choose the right path, basically, whether that's expanding or maybe pivoting or even just shoring up defenses.
Okay, and that's where it gets really interesting, I think. Because it's not static, is it, this map?
Not at all. That's the key.
Like interest rates jump, or a new competitor pops up out of nowhere, or consumers suddenly care about something totally different. It redraws the map overnight almost.
It absolutely can. And that dynamism, that constant change, means just staying current. Well, it's not really enough. You have to be intensely curious. You need that strategic radar always on. It's the foundation for making smart, resilient decisions. Companies that do this continuously, they adapt, they thrive.
It's like building a muscle for awareness.
Precisely. It becomes part of the process, not just a report you read once a year.
Okay, so let's get into the data aspect. For listeners trying to get a handle on this, what are the core economic indicators? How do savvy leaders read them beyond just the headlines?
Yeah, good question. It's definitely about digging deeper than the news soundbite. Take GDP growth. It's not just the number. You need to ask, what's driving that growth? Is it consumer spending? Business investment? Exports? That tells you a lot more about sustainability.
Right, like is it built on solid ground or something temporary?
Exactly. Same with inflation. Is it broad-based or is it concentrated in specific sectors?
Yeah.
Is it likely temporary due to supply issues or something more structural? Then you add in market dynamics. Things like supply chain bottlenecks, we all know about those now.
Oh, yeah.
Commodity prices, investor sentiment,
Sure.
which can swing wildly. The real skill is connecting these dots. How does a drought over here affect manufacturing costs over there? How does investor nervousness impact funding for startups in a completely different field?
Tracing those ripples.
That's it. Leaders who can see those connections across sectors, across geographies, they have a huge advantage.
But a lot of those indicators, like GDP or unemployment, they tell you what happened, right? They're lagging. How do you use them to look forward?
That's a fair point. Many are lagging.
Yeah.
But you look for the leading elements within them. So while the overall unemployment rate lags, maybe new jobless claims give you an earlier signal. Consumer confidence surveys can hint at future spending patterns.
Yeah.
You use them not to predict the future, because you can't, but to build plausible scenarios. What might happen if X trend continues? What if Y factor changes?
So it's less crystal ball, more like building a range of possibilities.
Exactly. A high-resolution periscope, maybe? You're scanning the horizon intelligently?
I like that. Okay, let's shift gears to technology. This feels like a constant whirlwind. AI, automation, clean tech, it's everywhere. How does landscape analysis help cut through the hype and figure out what actually matters for your business?
This is a huge one, because technology can be both an incredible opportunity and an existential threat. A proper analysis helps you evaluate how a new technology might enhance what you do or challenge it or maybe totally reshape your core value proposition. Think about cloud computing. It didn't just make data storage cheaper. It fundamentally changed IT infrastructure, business models, everything.
Yeah, totally. Or digital payments in banking.
Perfect example. The analysis isn't just if you should adopt something, but when. Is the market ready? Are you ready? Adopting too early can drain resources, but adopting too late, well, that's often fatal.
So you need to find that sweet spot.
Right. And understand how it changes things internally. Not just the tech itself, but the processes, the skills needed, the culture. Staying technologically blind or just resisting change internally, that's simply not viable anymore. You risk becoming irrelevant very, very quickly.
So internal readiness is key there too. We'll come back to that. Okay, what about the regulatory and political side? Seems like that's getting more complex too.
Definitely. Laws,
Mm.
regulations, political shifts,
Mm.
tax policy, trade deals, ESG mandates are a huge one now. These things powerfully shape the environment. They define the rules of the game for how you grow, how you compete, how you report.
And it's not just about compliance anymore, is it?
Not at all. Uncertainty, say around elections or geopolitical tensions, creates volatility, sure, but regulatory shifts can also create massive opportunities. Think about the push towards green energy. For some industries, it's a cost. For others, it's this enormous new market opening up. Companies that are proactive, that engage with policymakers, they can sometimes help shape those future rules rather than just reacting.
So they're not just rule takers, they're trying to be part of the conversation.
Exactly. Being consultative, understanding the direction of travel, it provides a strategic edge.
Okay, let's talk about people, consumers. Tastes change, values shift. This seems like the hardest part to predict sometimes.
It can be tricky, for sure. But there are underlying forces. Consumers increasingly want personalization, they want sustainability, transparency, ethical alignment. These aren't just, passing fads. They seem to be deeper shifts in expectations.
And things like social media amplify it all, right?
Massively. Generational differences play a role, cultural movements. Things can change fast. A product that was fine 5 years ago might feel completely tone-deaf today if it hasn't evolved. The companies that get this right are the ones listening deeply, using social listening, talking to customers, really trying to understand the why behind the what.
So it's about empathy, not just data points.
Absolutely. You need to engage authentically. It's not just selling stuff anymore. It's solving problems, telling stories, building trust. That's how you build loyalty long term.
And are there leading indicators here, ways to spot these cultural shifts early?
Sometimes you see things emerging in niche communities first. Think about plant-based eating or sustainable fashion maybe 10 years ago. They were small trends then.
Right, now they're huge markets.
Exactly. So watching those fringes, those subcultures, can give you clues about where the mainstream might be heading.
Interesting. Okay, staying with the external view. Competitors. How do you analyze competition when disruption can come from anywhere?
Yeah, the traditional view of competition is too narrow now. Competitive intelligence today is more about understanding your position in the whole ecosystem. It's not just about copying your direct rivals. It's about differentiation. Where can you make a unique move? And crucially, you have to anticipate future competitors. They might not look like you. They might come from a totally different industry.
Like a tech company becoming a bank.
Precisely. Or think about how automotive companies are getting into energy storage. Industries are converging. So smart leaders scan adjacent sectors, they watch startups, they look at enabling technologies. They're looking at the periphery, not just straight ahead.
Got it. Analyze to differentiate, not just imitate.
That's the key takeaway.
And related to a lot of this, ESG, environmental, social, governance factors. You mentioned mandates, but how central is this becoming?
It's moved from the sidelines right to the center. It's absolutely core now, both for risk management and value creation. Environmental risks, extreme weather, disrupting supply chains, resource scarcity, emissions rules, these are bottom line issues.
They have real financial impact.
Definitely. And on the social side, expectations around employee well-being, diversity, equity, inclusion. These aren't just nice-to-haves. Investors are asking tough questions, regulators are watching, customers are making choices based on this stuff, employees want to work for responsible companies.
So it's hitting multiple fronts.
It is. Ignoring ESG is a risk. Embracing it genuinely, integrating it into strategy.
Yeah.
That's increasingly how you position yourself as a forward-thinking, resilient leader. It's becoming table stakes for credibility.
Okay, so we've scanned the horizon pretty thoroughly, but you mentioned earlier internal readiness. What good is seeing the future if you can't actually do anything about it?
Exactly. This is where the rubber meets the road. You could have the best analysis in the world, but if your organization is too slow, too rigid, too resistant to change.
It just sits on a shelf.
Right. So you need to balance that external focus with building internal capacity. investing in your people, upskilling, fostering learning culture, investing in agile processes, investing in the right digital tools to enable change.
Organizational agility, basically.
That's the term, yes. Without it, insights fall flat.
Mm.
Your strategy is only ever as good as your ability to actually execute it. There
Mhm.
needs to be alignment.
Can you? Like, audit your own agility. How do you know if you're ready?
You can, in a way. You look at how decisions get made. How quickly can you reallocate resources? Do teams collaborate effectively across silos? Is experimentation encouraged or punished? It's about honestly assessing if your internal wiring is built for speed and adaptation, or if it creates friction and delay.
That makes sense. So, given all this complexity, external, internal, how do the best leaders handle the sheer unpredictability of it all?
Well, they don't pretend to have a crystal ball. Instead, they use tools like scenario planning.
Ah, tell us more about that.
Scenario planning isn't about predicting one future. It's about imagining several plausible futures. Maybe 3 or 4 different ways the world could unfold based on key uncertainties. You ask those what-if questions. What if interest rates spike? What if our main competitor merges with that tech startup? What if there's a major regulatory crackdown in our key market? Then you stress test your current strategy against each of those scenarios. Where does it hold up? Where does it break? What new opportunities emerge in scenario B that aren't there in scenario A? It helps you build more robust, flexible strategies that can cope with a wider range of outcomes. It builds resilience.
So it's about preparing, not predicting, playing what if, so you're ready for now what.
That's it exactly. You build optionality, you think about contingency plans, you identify signposts that might tell you which scenario is starting to unfold. It's about being prepared to pivot.
Okay, fantastic. So we've analyzed the landscape, we've looked inward at agility, we've considered scenarios. What does this all mean for action? How do you turn insight into actual impact?
That's the critical link. Analysis without action is, well, academic. The goal is knowledge that leads to action. The best organizations translate these insights into tangible things. New products, different services, adjusted policies, maybe even shifts in company culture. They make bold but informed choices.
They use the analysis to move the needle.
Precisely. In a world that's always moving, seeing clearly, and then moving decisively. That's the ultimate advantage.
Being the pilot, not just a passenger reacting to the turbulence.
Well put. Your analysis is your compass, your map. Let it guide the vision, but ground your leadership in the reality of the terrain.
Brilliant. Okay, that was a really comprehensive look. Let's try and distill this down for everyone listening. What are the absolute must-knows?
Okay, let's do top 5 takeaways. First, interconnectedness. See how economic, political, tech, social forces all influence each other. Don't view them in silos. Second, unlearn and relearn. Advantage comes from how fast you adapt to new signals, not just what you knew yesterday. Third, agility matters. Internal adaptability is just as crucial as external insight. You need both. Fourth, values drive markets. Consumer expectations in ESG are not side issues, they're reshaping core business realities. And fifth, foresight builds resilience. Use scenario planning not just to survive disruption, but to find opportunities within it.
Excellent summary. Okay, so for you listening, what can you actually do? Here are 5 actions to take. 1. Review regularly. Make looking at macro trends and policy shifts and their connections a habit. 2. Invest in intel. Get the right tools and teams for real-time business intelligence and, importantly, cultural listening. 3. Run scenarios. Actively simulate disruptions. Stress test your plans. Ask what if. 4. Engage customers deeply. Track their evolving values and needs, not just what they bought last week. Talk to them. And 5. Align inside and out. Make sure your internal capabilities, your team, your culture can actually seize the opportunities you identify.
And maybe just as vital, 5 actions not to take, things to avoid. 1. Don't assume status quo. Today's market is not tomorrow's. Change is constant. Expect it. 2. Don't rely only on history. Past data is useful, but you must include forward-looking signals, qualitative insights too. 3. Don't ignore the edges, non-traditional competitors, emerging tech from other fields. That's often where disruption starts. Keep a wide lens. 4. Don't separate strategy and execution. They have to be tightly linked, constantly informing each other. Build feedback loops. And 5. Never forget the human element. Ultimately, values, behaviors, culture. These drive almost everything in business. Don't reduce it all to numbers.
Fantastic. Really actionable advice there. It really underscores that this kind of deep analysis isn't a one-off project. It's a continuous mindset, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's a journey.
Yeah.
And that ability to really understand, anticipate, and adapt, that's what separates the truly proactive, enduring organizations from those just reacting to the latest crisis.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on after we finish. We've talked a lot about business leadership today, but this way of thinking, this constant analysis, this preparedness, it's not just for CEOs. How could applying this kind of landscape thinking, understanding tech shifts, changing values, maybe even geopolitical ripples help you navigate your own career, your own industry, or maybe even just your personal life in this world that seems to change faster every day? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.